Hello everyone, and now welcome to game number 2 in this series. Worker currently down behind 1-0 as Worker does spawn as the yellow orc on the bottom right hand side of the map. I do believe this is Ancient Isle. Meanwhile, Happy has spawned as the red undead on the top left. Gonna go ahead and speed things up just a little bit, and I am expecting Happy to use a very similar strategy in game number 2 that he used in game number 1. Slight delay on the Altar of Darkness means that he will be going for Crypt Fiends, but the graveyard is already in play, followed by that Tomb of Relics. Meanwhile, Worker is going to be opening up with that Blade Master, and the Blade Master should be popping out here in just a moment. There he goes, as he's going to head off to the north, go after this Ogre Magi, and eventually, I believe, a Grunt will be joining him here in just a second. Alright, you can see the Ogre Warrior trying to get into position. Forest Troll Trapper going straight after the Blade Master, and they are double teaming this unit right here. After the Ogre Magi, I believe they will be focusing on the Forest Troll Trapper, and then finally that Ogre Warrior. Always important to keep track of what units do the most amount of damage, and the Forest Troll Trapper deals more damage even though it has less armor, since it does have medium armor, taking extra damage from the Grunt. WarCraft 3, StarCraft, all of those real-time strategies are really a game of seconds where you're trying to get a slight advantage over your opponent. If you're able to creep slightly faster or remove more damage from your units, that in turn will make your units that much stronger and that much better later on. That's what we're seeing here as the Forest Troll Trapper has been taken down. Now Happy is using the remaining units. As you can see, some of those skeletal minions, very nicely done, maintaining low hit points on those skeletal minions by having them attack another unit and then come back over. 3 very, very low hit point skeletal minions will finish off the Ogre Warrior right there. There you have it, as the Death Knight now sits just outside level 2. Blade Master already at level 2 picks up Gloves of Haste and has a Ring of Protection +2 just for that early damage engagements. Blade Master perhaps going to try and keep track of where that Death Knight is. Death Knight now heading back off to the north. That Death Knight will get to level 2 right here as the Null Brute is taken out. Death Knight perhaps expecting that the Blade Master is nearby. Alright, Blade Master could try and do a little bit of steal right here. Only level 1 creeps though, so he may feel that it is not worth the reward for that type of a risk at this stage. Now, Worker is going to continue to do a bit more creeping. Level 2 Blade Master followed by 2 Grunts, going after the Null Assassin first and that Null Warden, being aware of the armor types and how powerful or how crucial it is to taking down the higher damage dealing units. Tome of Strength also being dropped here as the Blade Master may healing salve and then pull away with that Grunt, giving that Grunt some more time to heal and hopefully not taking any sort of damage. The Null Overseer does give a command aura to all these units here, and he also wants to make sure to take it down so that the Death Knight is unable to land a Death Coil steal. Death Knight, on the other hand, going after the Null Overseer at this side of the map, it will not give the Death Knight level 3, but it should drop a very powerful item at this point. Claws of Attack +6, followed by finishing the remainder of the Null Warden. Nope. Gonna completely ignore it, as you can see the Grunt now taking a lot more damage just by sticking his nose in someone else's business. Alright, back down across. Grunt is going to slip through. Blade Master trying to go after some of these units here. Death Knight does have Unholy Aura, granting movement speed as well. Blade Master, it looks as though the Null Warden getting a big hit onto that Death Knight. Purge cast onto the Death Knight there. Death Coil, Speed Squirrel is going to be able to outrun all of those attacks. That is a big question right there. No, it is not, as the unit does get taken down. Speed Scroll not effective enough as the Blade Master tries to chase down 1 or 2 Crypt Fiends and was unable to do so. Now, Happy sitting back on Blight, probably wishing that he was at level 3. More hit points. Level 2 Death Coil can easily heal all these units and make its way back out right now. But there is a Nerubian Tower preventing that Blade Master from trying to come inside and snipe down any of these units. Death Knight taking his sweet time there. Meanwhile, Blade Master going to be using the Ring of Regeneration to the best ability that he can by focusing down the high-level Forest Troll Warlord, picking that item, and then perhaps leaving the remainder of the creeps here. Shadowhunter going to be doing some creeping by himself as well, as the Blade Master picks up Book of the Dead. That is a very, very powerful item, but that is only useful while your opponent does not have destroyers. Once destroyers are out in play, all of a sudden, that Book of the Dead is going to be feeding your opponent rather than helping you. Forest Troll Berserker going to get taken down right there. Wait for it. There it goes. There's that skeletal minion. It's going to just crumble to dust here in just a second, as the Blade Master, with that Ring of Regeneration, really, really benefiting, getting an additional 120 hit points a second. Skeletal minion now taken down. Healing salve is on him as well. Is he going to be able to go after the Blade Master? Blade Master all of a sudden hexed after a Windwalk strike. Speed Scroll now being used. The Death Knight, however, not there. Book of the Dead could have been used to try and box out any of the units, and there was no easy way to remove that. That was a missed opportunity by Worker to use the item while it was still usable. At this stage, we are looking at the Blade Master healing back up. He does have a Clarity Potion. Meanwhile, the Shadow Hunter going to be going after the Red Drake here, most likely hiring a Forest Troll Berserker to finish off this Red Drake. Grunt's going to finish off the ground units. Blade Master is still hiding nearby. Is it going to be enough? He does do a bit of a steal, and now going to try and wander away once more. I'm hoping that the Blade Master does not use that Book of the Dead while there are destroyers. He should probably just sell that item now, or use it in the next couple of seconds, or well, next minute or so, as the destroyer form may be ready. All right, Shadowhunter picking up Vampiric Aura. And now we see the Death Knight coming across here. Oh, there's a bit of a Creepjack right there. Extra additional damage coming across. There's a Burrow, as you can see that the Crypt Fiends are just trying to run away. Ensnare onto the Obsidian Statue. That is going to be a big loss. Blade Master going to take that down. Now using Book of the Dead would be absolutely perfect. Opportunity, and for some reason is not using it right now. All right, needs to get a reveal here. Scroll of Town Portal by the Death Knight. As you see, a Raider is going to be able to barely escape. Blade Master should just finish off the remainder of this creep camp here, use the consumable, and then get the Shadow Hunter to level 3. That Shadow Hunter is so low on life that it does need to heal back up first, and it's not going to be able to use the opportunity and time that Happy had while Scroll of Town Portaling back home. We are at Black Citadel. I believe we are waiting for that Orb of Corruption to eventually be given to that Lich. Lich is still sitting at level 1 as the Blade Master heads back off to the north here. All right, is he going to finish off that Null Overseer? Yes, he does. Does he pick up the item Sentry Wards? I believe, yes, he does end up picking that up. He does have a Speed Scroll right now. Potion of Lesser Invulnerability as well. Meanwhile, over here on the top right, the Raider is going to be forced to try and retreat. Tauren Chieftain, Worker going for the Orc Tri-Hero, something that you rarely ever see. Shadowhunter going to be staying at level 2 a bit longer, though, that means, as we now perhaps need to see a Forest Troll Shadow Priest. Blade Master going to be going after that Red Drake, has additional damage. Why is it backing off? I'm not quite sure. Forest Troll Berserker going to finish this off here, and down it's going to go. What item was dropped? It is going to be Devotion Aura. No. Oh, Death Coil comes across, finishes off a Raider. No's movement speed bonus. There is a Stomp instead. And the Tauren Chieftain normally goes for Endurance Aura first. However, this is going to be a slow pickoff as the Worker continuing to just block out all of these units. Death Coil does come across. Death Knight now trying to chase. Is this one Grunt going to get taken down as the units now all head back home? Tauren Chieftain, however, is going to end up being surrounded. He could try and take its place, stand next to him, as the Tauren Chieftain does end up falling there. All right, the Destroyer should be ready to go. Destroyer form should be ready. There is a reveal. Blade Master is going to be revealed right here. What's going to be happening? Do we see a healing wave? Shadowhunter, Potion of Invulnerability first, unable to finish off any units. The Shadowhunter really wanted to get to level 3 for level 2 healing wave first, but was unable to do so. Destroyers are now out, and there was that Devour magic, and I believe this is pretty much going to be over. He had the opportunity to use that Book of the Dead much earlier. Instead, fed 400 mana to a Destroyer, and that is going to be the game. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.